Let's bring in Aaron Zelin, a fellow at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy and founder of jihadology.net. Welcome to the program, Aaron. Now, Syrian refugees returning to their homeland and, of course, finding destroyed homes and the mass devastation. What will it take to rebuild Syria?
I think one of the key things will be easing a lot of sanctions that were put on the Assad regime, since obviously the new administration, none of it had to be related to it, so that there could be a ton of investment in the country to rebuild it, since the regime never rebuilt anything after it had originally taken territory back in 2016.
Turkey has echoed those calls for the lifting of sanctions and for the international community to engage with this new administration. How much influence does Turkey hold over this new government?
I think that they're going to view each other as strategic partners going forward, as well as likely Qatar as well. However, HTS, the group that took over the country, and the leader Ahmed al-Shara or Abu Muhammad al-Jalani are independent as well. So I think that they'll seek help from anywhere they can get it. And that's one of the reasons why I think that they've been happy that other Western countries have already come to Damascus to meet them, such as the UK, France, Germany, and the United States now.
Speaking of HTS, they have made commitments about protecting Syria's diverse communities. What evidence is there that they will keep this promise?
Well, if you look at the last couple of years of their rule in northwest Syria, the Christian and Druze minorities have been able to live relatively peacefully. Obviously, they're still a minority group, and so it's not 100% perfect. But compared to what it was maybe 10 years ago, they haven't been really harassed, and they've been able to do their own religious services and the like. The bigger question is whether minorities will have political representation, since while they might not have been bothered, they weren't a part of the Syrian Salvation government either.
And speaking of representation, there were also the multiple armed groups that were involved in this recent change of power. How is this new administration handling these different factions and their interests?
I think that because HTS is the one that started the offensive, took over the country, has been leading the transition, that a lot of people will respect their decision-making and that there will be a honeymoon period in the beginning. So far, we've already seen close ties with the Southern Operations Room in the South, and HTS's governance structures have taken over in the South, as well as commanding the borders with Jordan. And then in the North, we've already seen, more connections happening between HTS and the Turkish-backed Syrian National Army. The bigger question likely will be how the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, which is also a U.S.-backed group, will fit into this picture, since they would prefer some level of autonomy. But HTS has talked about unifying all Syria under one command.
Okay. Aaron Zelin from the Washington Institute for Near East Policy. We appreciate your time and your insights. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.